Hello everyone, good morning. So today we are going to discuss one of the important topics that is on report definition, that is function alias. Okay, so welcome to PEGA Knowledge Base, where knowledge matters. So as I told you, today we are going to discuss something called PEGA function alias. Okay, and it's going to be unlocking the reusable logic. So what exactly is the functional alias and how exactly we are going to reuse that we are going to discuss. Okay, so this is going to be one of the PEGA platform complex technical logic into accessible, reusable components that empower both developers and business users. Okay, so it is going to help both the developers as well as the business users. So in this class, we will be seeing something called what is functional alias and what is the use of the functional alias in reports and the types of functions aliases in PEGA and the advantages of functional aliases and what are the limitations and what are the best practices. And along that, we are going to see finally the demo, how exactly we can achieve that in the report definitions. So what is functional alias in PEGA? So it's like a powerful PEGA rule that wraps underlying Java or SQL functions with a user-friendly interface. So generally, PEGA suggests that you don't use the Java functions or else SQL queries into the PEGA, right? So in case if any of the functionality requires to use that, then we can go for the function aliases instead of writing the Java steps in an activity or else the ASP files in creating, right? So we can use something called function alias. Okay, so it's like a translator that converts technical function code into a simple named operators with clear parameter prompts. Okay, so it's going to be convert the technical function. So a lot of technical functionality, it's going to be the code is going to be make it as a simple named operations. Okay, as you know that the entire PEGA is also implemented in Java only, but there is going to be encapsulate in the background, and we are going to be write simple steps in the activity or else in the data transforms. So a function alias is like a reusable parameterized rule in PEGA that provides a simplified way to apply functions or expressions in report definitions that without writing the complex functions manually. Okay, so we need not write the complex functions manually, and it works as a wrapper around a PEGA function and allows declarative user-friendly configurations. So it's going to be act as like a wrapper. Okay, so we don't see the entire logic what is implemented in the background. Okay, so it's going to be having some user-friendly naming, which provides intuitive names instead of cryptic function signatures. Okay, so by using the user-friendly names, we are going to identify the function and we are going to utilize it. And it is going to be having some guided parameters also. And along with that, it's going to bridge content. It's going to connect technical complexity with rule configurations. Okay, so with rule configurations, we are going to implement it. And there are mainly two types of the functions we will be seeing in PEGA. One is Java function and other one is the SQL expressions. Okay, so what exactly is the difference between the Java and again SQL functions? Okay, so it's going to be custom or built-in Java methods that performs compatible logic or data transformations and business calculations. So to do some kind of the string manipulations or else datetime calculations or else the mathematical operations, and even if you want to perform some kind of the data validation and formatting. Okay, so you know, like if the age should be greater than 25, then okay, if you want to display he is eligible like that. Okay, so these kind of the validations, and other than embedded user function, so these things we can implement. And but whereas in SQL, okay, we'll be performing something like database aggregations, conditional calculations, data filtering expressions, okay, and again performance optimized queries. Okay, but while creating the function, okay, how do you differentiate it? Whether it is a Java function or a SQL expression. Okay, means mainly it is going to be based upon the class on which you are going to create. Okay, if you create a function in embed-user function, okay, class other than this, then it is called a Java function. In case if you create in the embed-user function class, then it will be act as a SQL expression, SQL function. Okay, so where exactly we can see these Java functions? We can use it in the collections, decision rules like, okay, when rule, decision tree, decision expression, and consent rule. But whereas the SQL functions we can use in the report definitions. So this function aliases wrap these functions to create a reusable library of operations accessible throughout your PEG applications. Okay, so throughout the application we can use it. Okay, once if you create it, we can reuse it in the entire application wherever you want. In many number of the report definitions, you can use the SQL expressions, or else in any number of the collection rules, decision trees, and decision expressions and constraint rules, you can use this one. So once if you create, and we can reuse it in many places. Okay, so mainly it is going to promote the code reuse. Okay, so eliminates duplication, so no need to write the function again and again. Okay, so the time it is going to save. Okay, so and the memory also it is going to save. And how exactly it is going to work? It is going to be like a natural language interface. So the business users will not be knowing the entire complex functionality which it is written in the functions. So they can just use that by using the name of that function and encapsulate the complexity. So as I already told you, it is going to hide the entire functionality, how it is implemented, that complexly how it is implemented. And it is going to enhance the maintainability. So a single point of maintenance. So that means if you make any change in once, okay, that is going to impact everywhere, wherever you use that. So that is one of the enhanced maintainability like that. Okay, so why we need to use? As I told you already, so it is going to be a reusability and performance optimization also. So it is going to improve the performance as it is going to be written only once, and it is going to be refactoring also. So refactoring in the sense, okay, where if you write only once and if you make any change in one place, that is going to apply everywhere. And even readability and maintainability, okay, it is easy to read and again it is easy to maintenance, and it is going to encapsulate the complex functionality. Okay, so these are particularly powerful in report definitions where they transform SQL complexity into accessible building blocks. So the complex SQL queries, okay, which it is going to be hard to the user, and they can reuse that. Okay, so how it works? So it is based on the class definition. Okay, so as I told you, the SQL functions we are going to discuss today, and that will be created under the embed-user function class. Okay, in your application rule set only, but the class must be embed-user function. And we need to pass the parameters. So the input parameters referenced by using 1, 2, 3. So based on number of parameters, you can specify 1, 2, 3. So if you have only one input parameter, you should specify only one. In case if you have two, you should specify two. If you have three, you should specify three. And it is design time guidance. So includes templates and prompts that guide users on proper usage and expected data types. Okay, so in the design time, it is going to help the user. And it is a runtime substitution. So at the runtime, we will be using the substitution like that. And the main common use cases will be used here is like calculate elapsed time for SLA tracking, mask sensitive data in reports. Okay, in case if you want to hide the sensitive data, and convert date formats for regional display, and aggregate complex business metrics also we can use that. Okay, so the type of restrictions here or the limitations in case if you see, okay, cannot alias the function written in complex Java objects. So if it is written in complex things, then we cannot use that. So it is only supports like string, integer, boolean, and double. Okay, simple values only we can return. And whereas the SQL alias limited to the expressions that can be embedded within the queries. Okay, within the queries only we can use that. We cannot use the full SQL statements or stored procedures or else multi-step operations, cursors, all these things we cannot use, but it will only limit the sample queries. And the parameter definition care, okay, we should be very careful while defining the parameters, okay, with correct data types, okay, whether it is going to be accept the integer or else text or else the boolean value, you should be very careful. And the complexity management. So the management is sometimes it is going to be very complex. Okay, when you write the logic, which is very big or else very difficult to understand. Okay, so it is even though it is going to be hard, but sometimes it is going to be complex. Okay, so document limitations and valid parameter ranges within the alias rule description to help future developers. So the document, if you make it document, it is going to be helpful for the future developers. And the best practices for using the function aliases are like validate underlying functions with edge cases before creating the aliases. Okay, so we should test it thoroughly. Okay, so that it is not going to be an impact for the users who is going to use it. And it uses the descriptive names. So we should be very clear. We should give the name of the function very clear and again understandable to the user, so that next time the user can easily identify the purpose of that function and he is going to use that function. And the parameters also we should limit. Okay, we should not pass 10 parameters in or 20 parameters or 30 parameters. It's better to reduce as many as lesser, like 3 to 5 max. And to document everything. So include comprehensive descriptions, examples, and usage parameters. so that it is going to help the user. So based on the document, it's going to be helpful for the other users. And when to use this SQL aliases and when to use this Java aliases, means SQL functions or else Java functions. So mainly in the report specific calculations and database aggregations. Okay, so if you want to perform some kind of the aggregate functions, okay, like sum or else count or else average, those things, and it is going to perform as critical queries. Okay, so if the performance is most critical, and even if the data transformation in reports. Okay, so that means if you want to change the data based on some conditions, if you want to display something, then you can use the SQL functions. And when to use the Java alias, if the decision logic and business rules, okay, like when conditions, as I told you, okay, expressions and constraints, and complex string operations, okay, like concatenations, or else if you want to, okay, trim, all those things if you want, you can use. And cross-system integrations, so if you want to connect from other systems also, and custom validation routines. So even if you want to customize the validations also, then we'll be using. Okay, so how exactly we'll implement, we'll be seeing the demo. For example, I have a report. Okay, so in the report definition, I want to display, okay, based on some values. Okay, so in that case also, you can use that. For example, here I have a report definition. And before going to that report definition, for example, I have a data type. Okay, so from the data type, I want to fetch the data through this report definition. And while displaying the data, I want to customize it based on some of the conditions. Okay, so in this scenarios, we will be using. For example, I have some agent data type is there, okay, which contains some of the records. Okay, in these records, while displaying through report definitions, I want to customize it. So how do you customize? How do you create it? And all these things, okay, now we'll be seeing it. And one more thing, these function aliases are part of the technical category. Okay, by going to the technical category and by referencing the function alias, we can create it accordingly. You see, as I told you, it is under the records technical category, under the technical category. So the function alias. So by which, okay, so we'll be seeing all the existing functions as well as the, you can also create the new function alias. Now the data type has been opened. So here we have some data type, which is the agent, okay, which contains some of the records here. Here, like some agent name, agent phone, agent email, agent license number, and agent commission rate, years of experience, and then the designation like that it is having. Okay, so now if you want to display this accordingly, how exactly you can display these things? Now you can do that. Here, designation. Okay, now if you want to see the function aliases, you see, as I told you, under the technical function aliases. Now here to create the function alias, you can select that. Okay, create. Directly you can select create again. Otherwise, again, if you want to go technical and again function alias. So here you can use the purpose of that function alias, like display designation. Okay, and then so it can be under the context of your application, but as I told you here, it must be user hyphen. Okay, so as I told you, that must be the under the category of this function alias. Okay, so embed hyphen user function, that is mandatory. And if you give any other class other than this, then it's going to be the Java function. So as you can see here, embed hyphen user function, all these are part of this SQL functions, and this at base class. Okay, so and in case if it is any other class, then it's going to be the Java function. Okay, here mostly under the add base class it's having. Okay, so in case if you want, you can create under the any other class. Okay, so only add base class and again embed hyphen user function is there like that. So embed hyphen user function you should give. So and the rule set and again the version you can select the same thing. But here the main thing which you have to consider is embed hyphen user function that applies to class. So here mainly it will be having two tabs while creating the function alias. Okay, so the reference and again generated output and the specification history, as you know, history is just the information about that function, why exactly you want to use, and the specification it is mainly useful for the documentation. Okay, and so here mainly we need to concentrate on reference and again generated output. Okay, so under the reference you should select the input parameters. So what are the parameters you want to pass to the function? Okay, and the description. Okay, and the type of the data you would like to pass as an input parameter, whether it is a text or else integer or else any other data, date, time, or else Boolean value, and the type, and again default value. So this is like a normal input parameters which we'll be giving for the any other rule in PEGA. And the presentation. So how exactly the value you want to display to the user. Okay, so again the return type, whether it is a date value you want to return and double integer text or true or false like that. And the category, so whether it will come under the text category or else again the Boolean or else the number category likewise. Okay, we can select that numeric text date, something like that. Okay, and then pattern template and echo template. So this pattern template and echo template while creating the report definition, right? You see here, this is the report definition. Okay, here we'll be having the effects, which is the calculation builder. Here it will display all the SQL functions which are already available from PEGA as well as the function which you have created. Okay, so you see here, now I would like to say designation. Okay, under the designation, the years of experience, based on the years of experience, I want to display what kind of the user it is. So you see here, if you see calculation builder, okay, if you click on the calculation builder, you can see all the existing functions as well as the function which you have created. See here, see absolute value, add, balance, case, when, okay, ceiling. Okay, so here the label and again the actual parameters and again the value which you are passing, you can understand based on these text which it is displaying to the user. Hover, okay, the hover portion of the datetime value. So if you pass the datetime, right, it is going to return the hover. Okay, so hover update. Okay, so from the PX hover update. So left, okay, all these things will be displayed to the user. At the same time, okay, in case if you want to display, for example, I want to display designation. Now what I do is, so here it is having something called years of experience. Okay, and again designation is there, right? Now what I'll do is, this designation, okay, why it is displaying is, it's mainly because of I have already written this function here. That is the reason why it is displaying like that. But generally, if you go to the report definition here, so and that is populating from the report definition, right? So that is the reason why in the data type it is showing like that. Okay, now you see here. Generally, now I'm removing it. I'm removing it. Okay, so these are the properties which I would like to display through the report definition. Save it. Actions and run. So now when you run, it will display without designation. So that means directly from the report definition, whatever the properties you are getting, it will display. The agent name, agent phone, agent email, agent license number, agent commission rate, and again years of experience. Okay, so now what I want to do is, based on this years of experience, I want to display designation. Okay, so if the experience is more than 16, I want to display senior manager. If the experience is between 10 to 15, I want to display manager. Otherwise, he's the supervisor. So likewise, if you want to display, now what you can do is add one more column. Under the column, go to effects. So here, the function which I have created is designation. So it is going to take experience as a parameter. So for that, what value I would like to pass? Years of experience I would like to pass. Submit. So what is the column name you want to display for that? Here, the second one is the column name, column source. So the column source, the function which I'm referring, and the column name I want to display as a designation. Okay, now save it. Then run. See, the designation based on the years of experience, it is displaying manager, senior manager, super manager. So what is this designation functions contains here? As I told you, I'm taking one input parameter P1. Okay, so that is like experience. So while selecting effects, it is going to displaying as a experience. And the presentation. So I want to return text. Why? Because it is a manager or senior manager or supervisor, right? So that is the text category. And display designation is the pattern template. Display designation. This is only taking one parameter. So based on that, okay, it is going to return the value. So what is that logic you have to be added here is, here I'm using the case, okay, when the parameter value is greater than 15, then I want to display senior manager. In case if the parameter value is greater than equal to 10 and less than equal to 15, then I want to display as a manager. Otherwise, I want to display as a supervisor. Okay, so this is how we'll be creating the function here. So mainly input parameter, okay, what exactly you want to pass, and then the presentation, what exactly you want to display, and then the logic, code logic, what exactly, okay, need to be implemented. So the logic or else the complex functionality which you would like to add. So just that one, if you save, and here, if you can see here. But here one more important thing is, once if you create a new function, immediately it will not display here under the select function. You must log off and log in, then only it will display the function here. See, designation here. Okay, so what I have given designation experience. What you have passed here. So the input parameter is experience, and then the designation, okay, of one parameter. So that will be displayed here, designation experience, like that. Okay, for example, I would like to show you one more thing. In case if the value is null, I want to display as a 0. 0 if null. So on what? If agent commission rate is null, then I would like to display 0. You see, do we have anything like that? Agent commission rate null. If null, agent commission rate, submit. So for that, I want to display the heading. The heading instead of the designation, I want to display, okay, value, something like that. Actual value I'm giving. Now, if you run it and see, this time actual value, it's not a designation. So what? Based on the agent commission rate. So here it is null. It's not having any agent commission rate. So when it is agent commission rate is null, it will display as a 0. So likewise, we can use the functions, and based on the function, you can display the values accordingly. You can perform the functionality accordingly. Okay. So that's the way That is one of the thing which I would like to tell you. So in this way, you can add as much as logics and you can create as much as functionality, but make sure that while creating any of the function, okay, if there is any existing function which is already available for your requirement, if not available, then create, otherwise create it. So that's all, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, so if you really like the video, please like and subscribe to my channel. And if you feel that it is useful for any of your friends, please try to share to your friends. Thank you.